Targaryens are basically gone by the time we get to the beginning of the series, so why is this? Did Robert Baratheon take them all out during Robert's Rebellion? Was the bloodline eradicated? Like, what went down? Why are there basically none of them left? And, well, the answer is that there weren't a ton to begin with. Before I get into that, though, don't forget new episode over in the place, you know? It's fun. Look, I made this, hey. But to answer the question of where the Targaryens went, well, here is this handy-dandy chart from AE Charter. So, here you can see the number of Targaryens that were alive at any point from Aegon's conquest all the way to the present day in the series. And if you look at the old y-axis over there, you can see that the very top, is only 30. And they reach that exactly never, actually. They almost reach it once. And what year? What year is that? About 210. So at about 210, so 200 years into the 300-year dynasty, they almost get to 30 members at one point. But as you can see, for the rest of the time that they are the ruling dynasty, they are lucky if they maybe have 15 of themselves alive at any one time. And the problem is the Targaryens seem to be almost allergic to living, or at least living in large, comfortable numbers, because every time they get, close to like getting a little bigger, a little more prosperous, something happens, and then the population goes down to almost zero. You can see shortly after the conquest, we have the numbers starting to grow a bit as, Aegon has kids, and then Aenys has his own, little, group of kids. There's 5 of them. You got Maegor. The numbers are growing, but oh no, there's some shenaniganery, and Maegor takes over, and then the population Targaryens plunges. But it's okay, because you got Jaehaerys over here. Jaehaerys and Alysanne, the baby-making machines, despite the fact that she don't want to make no more babies, but Jaehaerys is a little bitch, so there we go. But, they grow, and then, oh no, the kids start dying. Because out of the 12 children of Jaehaerys, basically none of them live by the time he needs a successor. So we get down in numbers once again. But it's okay, because Viserys is here, and Viserys is going to have kids, and then his kids are going to have some kids, and our population is growing. Oh no, we have a thing called the Dance of the Dragons, and boom, the population drops to, I think we're down at that point to 4. Again, they're very bad at living in large numbers. They just don't want to. And so things are a little scary for a bit, but you know what? They steadily progress. They get bigger and bigger, and we start having bigger and bigger families that each of the kids were a king will have 4 children, then each of those 4 children each has a set of kids. And so that's when we get to the point where we have, I want to say around Daeron the Second, yeah, because Great Sickness, Daeron the Second, we have nearly 30 of them. Oh my God, crazy. Look, there's a plethora of Targaryens. But oh no, the Great Sickness happens in 210, and it's just what it sounds like. It's like a weird sickness, plague, whatever you want to call it, and a bunch of them die. Daeron the Second dies, some of his kids die, it's a whole thing. Population starts to plunge again. Things steady out a bit, but it's still kind of trending down, and then you have the whoopsie-doo at Summerhall. Aegon V, who again was generally a good king, except for this one little incident, suddenly decides, I'm going to try to bring dragons back in the world, and I want to basically collect my entire family at Summerhall, our other residence, and we're going to do this big scary fire magic ceremony thing and try to bring dragons back. But instead, the palace burns down. And so, as you can see, the population plunges once again. And so, by the time we are in the years before Robert's Rebellion, the population is as low as it's been in a while. Post Summerhall, the Targaryens are never at even 10 members total. By the time that we do get to Robert's Rebellion, well, there aren't a ton around, so it's pretty easy once you take out several of them to, decimate the population again. Because remember, if they had less than 10 members at that point, and during the course of Robert's Rebellion, we lose Rhaegar, his 2 children, Elia and Aegon. We lose Aerys the Mad King, his wife Rhaella. That's 5 right there. Leaving just Viserys, Dany, and maybe Fagon if you want to count him. But to address the other point of the original commenter's question, what about people with Targaryen blood? Are some of them around? And yes, some of them are around. Targaryens married into a few other families, and so they have, distant relations who are still alive, but, they haven't been Targaryens in several generations. And of these different families who have some Targaryen blood in them, the ones that have the most, the highest saturation, if you will, which they use as part of their claim to the throne, those are the Baratheons. Because if you'll remember Aegon V from the Summerhall shenaniganery, one of his daughters, Rhaelle, was married to Stannis's grandfather. Stannis and Robert's grandfather. And so their grandmother, Rhaelle, was a Targaryen. So they're a quarter Targaryen. That is the most you get in any of the one families who married into them. Now that begs the question, if the Targaryens are gone and then the Baratheons were to be gone, can one of these other families that has some distant Targaryen lineage use that to make a claim for the throne? And the answer is not really. Because the thing to understand about Robert's Rebellion specifically is that they kind of want to have their cake and eat it too. So the way that Robert initially goes about things is he takes the throne by conquest. Now, that is important because if you take the throne by conquest, you are establishing yourself as the royal line because you took it by force. You are not entitled to it because of blood or whatever, or because of a family relation, a claim. You literally, it's brute force. And that's what Robert did. They had a war and he won the war and he crowned himself king afterwards. But this is where the cake and eating it too comes in, because when you do that, when you take a throne by force, not everyone is going to like that, particularly the people that you forcibly took it from, and or the people who fought for the people you forcibly took it from. So this is where the Maesters kind of double dip a little bit, because they end up saying that yes, Robert is now the king. The Baratheons are now the royal line. That because Robert took the throne by force, the Targaryen line is ended. The claim to the throne is ended because they are not the royal family anymore. The Baratheons are. But if you're uncomfortable with that, and even if we were still using the Targaryens as being the legitimate rulers at this point, Robert would have the best claim out of the ones that are nearby. Yes, there is Viserys, but Viserys is now a continent away, and so of the people with Targaryen blood in the area, it's Robert. Robert technically has a claim because he is related to them. But again, that undermines the way he took the throne, because he took it by conquest. His blood doesn't matter. This is just an excuse that's being used to soothe some of the former Targaryen loyalists. So while there are other families that do have a bit of Targaryen blood in them, the Targaryens are no longer considered the royal family. The Baratheons are. Now, this isn't to say that someone, if one of them were to be able to, amass enough support that they couldn't try to challenge it and be okay, yeah, the Baratheons are, but you guys are using the Targaryen blood excuse too, so why can't we? In hindsight, it's dumb that they did that, the Maesters and the Baratheons, that they use the Targaryen justification as well, because it is the biggest undermining factor to their rule and their legitimacy. Sure, it's a short-term solution for the people who are grumpy, but long-term, you are leaving in a tiny loophole that someone could try to exploit just as you did. But since when has Robert Baratheon been known for making, smart decisions? Okay, good night.